video. So part 2 of the video of the live review session, the open review session of the Samsung Series 9 900X3A. That's this baby here, the ultralight Sandy Bridge 1.3 kilo laptop. It's kind of a pre-ultrabook. There it is, just trying to get the thin and light aspect there. 1.3 kilos. Well, in this session, it was on. I'm just going to put it into standby mode. In this session, we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you standby, return from standby, application startup, and some browser speed times. We'll also maybe talk about some video stuff. We might do that in the second video as well. I've got some questions to answer as well, and the first one is about the keyboard. So let's switch the camera and go into coming out of standby. So I closed the screen and it's gone into standby, and this is all I've been doing now for 4 days. I haven't actually turned the device off once yet, so all you need to do is literally just open it up, and it's a very reliable return from standby process. It's about 3 seconds, and there you go, we're in, and then another. That was already connected to the internet, so that was pretty nice. And that also occurs if you leave this guy in standby for a day, overnight. Overnight, I lost 5%. Overnight being 7 hours, I lost about 5% of the battery. Picked it up this morning, opened it up, and it was ready to go in about 6 to 7 seconds, which is really nice. I've tried this feature. It's a Samsung feature on another one of the devices, and it really does work, and it really is reliable. Someone asked me about the keyboard backlight. So the keyboard has got a backlight. I'm going to have to just turn that studio light off there, and hopefully you can then see the keyboard backlight there. Now it does light up through the keys, and if I just quickly turn that one off, it's maybe a bit better to see there. There you go. So that's full backlight. You can adjust that, and it is auto adjustable, so when I switch this lamp on, it should turn off. I want to put both of them on. Is it going to turn? Yep, that's turned off now. Right, so that's the keyboard backlight. Quick mention again on the screen, super bright 400 nits. Now what I want to show you now though is basic speed of operating. It's got a very fast SSD in it. It's not only fast at long transfers, so you can get up to 220 megabytes a second for a big transfer. It's also pretty fast at the low end for small transfers as well, which is very important for mucking around between multiple apps, multitasking. So for example, Chrome starts up, that was Chrome. It started up in literally under a second. Let's go for Reader. That's going to start up in a second as well. Let's go for Windows Media Player. That started up in a second, under a second. Let's start up a few other bits. Let's start up, what else have we got? DVD Maker. Boom. Let's start up something big. Cyberlink Power Director. This can take about 40 seconds on a fast netbook, and if I go test, see how fast it takes, that should be about 6 seconds. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay, 8 seconds to get that going, which is really pretty fast for Power Director. If you've used Power Director before, you'll know exactly what we're talking about there. So in terms of using apps, firing up apps, this is super fast, and this is it's kind of interesting because the faster you can get the apps up and down, it's the quicker you can get your job done, the quicker the device can go into power saving as well. And one of the things that's been mentioned about Sandy Bridge is, you'll see this on AnandTech, and David C1, who's a commenter at the UMBC portal quite often, pointed out that this is one of the first devices that's got enough power and is quick enough to go from high power to low power, such that you really can get stuff done quickly and then get an advantage with battery life. For example, on this device, it will do SunSpider in something like 700 milliseconds, and it will do it at the same TDP, sorry, the same battery drain, about 8 watts, as a netbook does. And a netbook will do it in about 1.4 seconds, so it's doing it in half the time at the same battery drain, and of course that means it's getting things done in half the time using actually half the power. So that's pretty interesting. I'm seeing in regular use an average 8-watt drain on this, so really good. It goes down to 4. If you turn everything off, backlight off, it'll go to 3.5 watt drain, and it'll go up to 25 watts. So you have to be pretty careful with this, and that's one of the things you'll have to think about when you're using a platform like this, is to try and keep things under control. If you go crazy with it, if you've got flash running all over the place, what did I have earlier? I was doing some downloads and it was averaging 12 watt drain when it should have been really sitting at 8 watts to do the download. Something had gone a bit array. That's one of the problems you get into when you do mega multitasking, like you might do on this device. So watch it. It can be good, can be bad. Let's just go for some web browsing tests then, just to show you. We're on a local wireless LAN here. I'm going to zoom in and we'll just fire up a bunch of random pages from Google News. Let me zoom in so you can just get an idea of how quickly it's all gonna run. First of all, though, let's go for Angry Birds from the App Store, and let see how smooth this is. On a netbook, this isn't so smooth. I'm going to go for the HD version. Of course, this is the Chrome. Let's see if this is smooth. As you can see, I haven't played it much. Alright, you even have to wait for the start. While I do that, I'm just going to go to news.google.com, and that's up. And I'm going to fire up a bunch of web pages. 1, 2, oops, that was a website. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a video playing. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's not done. That's done. So there's like 6 pages loading up all at the same time there, and they're pretty much all done now, while Angry Birds is playing in the background. So in comparison with netbooks, this is a completely different league. Oh, by the way, you will hear me reference lower power devices during this review. It's because that's where I come from. That's what I've been working with for the last 5 years, and so I will probably draw comparisons into the ultra mobile and mobile space rather than looking at comparisons with the higher end laptops. So let's go and play Angry Birds and see if that's smooth. I don't think this should be a problem here at all. Nope, no problem. Except for my skills playing the game. Okay, it plays that well. Now let's go to that news website again. I just want to do some examples. So news.google.com in 1 second. In gadgets.com 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still loading. All the flash. That was done in about 7 seconds, and it was usable in a very... Hey, solar bike. Didn't I do that 3 years ago? I should be on the front page of Engadget. Let's go to umpcportal.com. Again, a fairly heavy page. And we'll also do YouTube. And one of the things we'll do on YouTube immediately is try and do a 1080p video from the device. So I'm just going to search 1080p, 1080p, and there's a couple of videos that we can use. Let's say Tron Legacy Trailer 2, and we'll go right up straight away to 720p, and we'll go full screen. We're running Flash 10.3. Let's see how smooth this is. 720p. Let's put the volume up as well so I can get a feel for this. Right, 720p is smooth. no problems at all. Actually, it looks like a fairly compressed 720p. I've seen much better 720p than that, but that's YouTube for you. Right, let's go to 1080p. Let's see what this can do through Flash. 1080p. Is it accelerated? Is it going to rely on CPU? Is it going to rely on both CPU and GPU? Or am I not going to have enough network bandwidth to play this back? It's trying. It's trying. Let's go from the start again. So 1080p is playing now, windowed, no problem. And now we are in. Yeah, that's playing back. Okay, so there's actually network problems rather than performance problems here. Let me quickly give you a CPU overview while that's happening. There's your 4 cores, and they are running at 50%. So I would expect about 12 to 15 watts, about 12 watts of power utilization in this scenario here. And of course, 1080p is playing perfectly. Good. So there's going to be no problem at all with YouTube on this, and you wouldn't expect it, right? On a device that not only costs this much, but that is the latest Intel, well, an ultra low power version of the latest Intel desktop and laptop platforms. So at the same time, it was running Flash in the background there. There was a couple of websites going on, so that's pretty good for that. What we could do is go straight into some video demos, and I will I've got some prepared here. So in the interest of keeping this video flowing, I'm just going to go now straight to video. If you've got questions, by the way, hang on to the end of the session, and I'll answer your questions at the end of the session. So just going to videos here. So let's go 720p at this is 12 megabits per second, taken with a Nokia N8. That was me in Holland last weekend. Well, not me on stage there, but anyway. So no problem there with a 12 megabit per second 720p, and the CPU rate was running up there about 60%, maxing out at about 70%. Let's go for that was H.264, by the way. Let's go for a DivX. I believe this is a DivX. I will have to double check though. 1 second. No, this is 1080p H.264. This is an average 10 megabits per second with a 2-channel 190 kilobit per second. I think it's probably AAC audio at 1920 by 800 is the resolution. So let's bring that up and show you 1080p working there. And at the same time, let's have a look at the. This is really interesting. I'm going to zoom in on this. Right. Can we just have a look at the CPU utilization there? There's like 1 core being used, about 10%, 20% maybe. Overall, about 10% CPU utilization. Everything is happening here in hardware. This is hardware decoding of 1080p with absolutely no problem. So it's only the audio that's being decoded by the CPU here, and that's happening in 2 cores and averaging 10%. No problem at all. This is Mission Impossible. What is this one? Ghost Rider or something. Looking forward to that one. Right. So that's H.264 again. Let's do a Windows Media Video. This should be a piece of cake. It's a 720p. Average 6 megabits per second. Looks really nice. It's a great video. And again, looking at the CPU, a little bit more now. On this one, there's a 20% to 30% CPU utilization. So WMV obviously not as hardware decodable as the other one. Now out of the box, of course, this is, that's interesting. What, can it play the MKV? No, it can't play MKVs out of the box, but it can play DivX, it can play WMV, it can play H.263, H.264, Xvid, and MPEG-2. This is Windows 7 out of the box. You'll know about that anyway. So what we can do in a bit is maybe, well, you know what? I can feel pretty confident that if it can play, okay, let's do a 12 megabit per second average. This one has peaks of 20 megabits per second in the bit rate. It's a full, oh no, that was a 720p. Where is the, yeah, here's the 1080p version of this. 13 megabits per second average, 12 megabits per second average. And if it can play this with a CPU utilization of 12%, I feel pretty confident that it's going to be able to handle MKV with a third-party player without any problem at all. Shall I quickly just put this onto an external screen so we can get an idea of how that looks? I've got micro HDMI cable here that I'm just going to connect in, and I'll just have to push this into the back of my screen here. I should have got a 1.3 meter cable instead of the 1 meter cable. Alright, come on, get in there. It's being awkward. It's being awkward. Okay. So let's zoom out, and we got the 1080p monitor here, and you can see my messy room. So let's switch that to the right source, and there we go. And what we'll do is we'll switch this to extended desktop mode. Extend it like that, so that it puts the other monitor into proper 1080p resolution. Why can't I get the mouse pointer to go across? Huh? Ah, I lost it. 1 second. Bum bum ba ba dum bum. Oh, it didn't work. So we want HDMI clone dual view. That's what we want. Come on then. You can do it. Huh. Why doesn't it want to work? It was working on my other monitor. Did it take? Ah, there we go. Right. So now we've got that. We're going to start a 1080p up, and we're going to bring it over to the other screen. Of course, I haven't got audio because it's digital audio now, and that's that running. Then on the Ustream channel you might see some dropouts. I'll tell you if I see any dropouts. I haven't seen anything yet, and it seems to be working perfectly. Apologies for the German kids film. So we're running in extended desktop mode. This is still running a separate screen. So it's working and it's smooth, and there's no problems there at all with HDMI out. Good. So let me just stop that, and we will stop the video here as well. And I'm going to take some questions, and then the next part of the video we'll do some gaming tests. I've got some games loaded up, and we can also talk about some performance tests as well in the next video. So that's the Series 9 part 2 of maybe 4 parts this evening. My name's Chippy. This is part of Ultrabook. I'm really having trouble saying that. Ultrabooknews.com is my new website. Follow me on Chippy at Twitter, and you get notifications of the next sessions. Thanks for watching part 2 of this video.